All right, I'm gonna go down in the comments. Let me know if you can hear me. My something just literally flashed on my screen and it changed my mic settings to a default one. You should be able to hear me right now. Just go ahead and verify in the comment. I really would appreciate it. Yeah. I went through my settings. So on my screen, something weird happened, flashed, and then I noticed in the comments you guys can't say you can't hear me. I'm looking at my settings. I'm like, what do you mean? Like all my mute button is not muted on StreamYard. All that stuff is not showing up. And I'm like checking out my physical. I replugged it in. But yeah, it flashed and it changed my settings to like something else that is not even connected. So it was really, really strange. I apologize for that, the technical difficulties, everybody. I'm going to go further back up. I'm glad we caught it quick, though. But thanks for mentioning that. I will read this again, and that is this: 650 million is what FTX owes, I should say. It's funny that that's the exact amount that Tom Brady invested. That's wow, that's a crazy coincidence. See that a lot more people have filed in. Thank you so much for joining us with Crypto Talk Now live with Max. We're of course recognizing what's going on with this crazy crash that's been happening the last couple of days and so on, and reflecting upon that. We're just getting through some of these comments here, and if anything, within the next minute or so, we're going to kick into the actual coverage of reflecting on what's going on with this particular crash. A little bit more, Joyce, of course. Yeah, I got out all that. Thank you so much. I'm going to skip down. But how this Purple Radioactive, thank you for being here. Consider changing your avatar to something that speaks more about who you are or what you're about, even if it is something radioactive and purple and so on. But yes, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate everybody, especially the newcomers. If you happen to be new to crypto, what a crazy time to come in, right? But if anything, we have a very welcoming community here. Ask any question you feel like you need to, whether you're a seasoned veteran of crypto and so on. Again, we have a very welcoming community, and they'll answer you even more quickly than I could, because they're right in the comments looking right at that. Oh, this guy, Boomer F and Sooner. Good to see you, sir. He says, cool. I thought it was just me that couldn't hear. No, these particular things do happen once in a while, but we got sorted out, and I can't thank you guys enough, because I wouldn't want to go like 15 minutes of just rambling off on something and be muted. That would have been horrible. Boomer F and Sooner, he'll read the comments in about 20 minutes. No, I didn't. I got that. Haha. How about that, right? All right. Thank you, Salamander in Space, for the $2 super chat. I did recognize it real soon, but yes. And let's see here. Purple Radioactive. He hopes that Bitcoin will go down more. He wants to mine his at the lowest point possible right now. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I got that sorted out. It actually wasn't me really pulling a Larry or anything. It was just seriously a technical problem. Literally, it changed my settings. That's something that could happen to anybody technically. All right, a little bit further down. Let's see here. Coochie Boy, been killing it today with lots of tweets, and just man, you must have been as obsessive over the market as I was earlier, and still are. But good to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight. Edward says, dang it, I thought I was having audio issues. LOL. No. All right, let me go further down. Here's the guy for you. Calvin, good to see you. And of course, good to see everybody that's following in. Guys, if you haven't done so already, please smash that like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. We have 28 wonderful people who are here tonight with us. Really appreciate you guys. In regards to Calvin's comment, again, thank you for being here. Just got an email from Fidelity stating, quote, coming soon, Fidelity Crypto. I'm impressed with their timing. By the way, we can't hear you. No sound. I got that fixed. But yeah, it is all about timing sometimes. And to see Fidelity Investments go to the crypto side of things is pretty big. Let's see here. You're saying hello to Mr. In Space, which is Salamander. Yes, thank you again from the. I should say thank you again for the super chat earlier. Good to see the communities. Welcome everyone. Briltony, good to see you here tonight as well. If I didn't have a chance, if I skipped over one of your comments when you guys mentioned the whole thing about being muted and whatnot. Legrand Commission, good to see you, my friend. Of course, part of the whole team here at CTN. Thank you so much. Good time, $2 cost average. I basically did that earlier today. I'll get a little bit more into that. Just the ones off the top of my head that I DCA'd into. So I bought another quant. I'm now at 7 point something, right? I'm that much closer to my goal of 10 quant. And of course, my preference is to have at least 20. So, I mean, I have my minimum goals, and then I have my expectations for preference goals. On top of that, you guys have heard me many times talk about the likes of audio, aka Audius. I finally got into that. I have a position in that. And then on top of that, I got into the graph. We were covering that. I just saw the opportunities there, the price, and they're currently listed at and so on. I said to myself, I think now is the time for me to finally get into these. Yeah, they dropped a little bit lower, but not that much. Like nothing's monumental or significant where I was going to beat myself up about like, oh no, I could have got it at bottom. Don't get me wrong. All you guys, maybe even shout out to you, Coochie Boy. Like you seem like you do a pretty good job of being that much more patient. But I was satisfied with that. And if anything, I think I put on another tweet. Was it the other day? Or maybe it was this morning. I can't remember. I'll have to double check that tweet. Doubled my position in XLM. So originally I had, I think it was like 2,000 XLM. I'm now up to 4,000 XLM. I'm going to continue to $2 cost average on that. Ironically, now I have more XLM than I do XRP. I have like 3,000 plus XRP. Anyway, glad to see you guys. Of course, welcome everybody back. Like Boomers, welcoming Briltony. Guys all saying saying hello to each other, so on. Talk louder, Max. We can't hear you. Okay. Briltony, we're all just deaf. Okay. Nah, I'm glad you get that sorted out. I caught that real quick. Shout out to Joyce for mentioning it originally. Howdy to you, Bitcoin BMW, and also you, Tim Shea. Glad to have you guys here tonight. And I'm gonna go further down because I just want to see if there's any comments. Ironically, ain't that weird? You guys are all talking about audio, right? So I'm muted, and what was the big thing I got into today? Just that, audio. So, go figure. All right, let me you-hoo, Max. All right, let me go further down. How about this? I hate that when I did live shows and no sound drove me crazy. Yeah, so you can relate to that. But on this case, it really was just a technical issue. Like I didn't physically hit the mute or anything like that and forgot about it. It was just that. It was seriously a technical thing. I had to go back in the settings to switch. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and welcome Max P. Says hi everyone. It's been a crazy one today. Yes, it definitely has. Hopefully I didn't forget anybody else. And I see Metal Like This here. Good to have you here. All right. How about this? Mr. No Face is here. Good to welcome you as well, sir. Selmo Fudd with the super chat. Sorry to catch you earlier. It's too much focus on just trying to welcome people and so on. But thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Crypto Talk Now. I could hear you now. Thank you so much, as usual, for your continued support. Welcome, of course, Mr. No Face and anybody else I might have not have had a chance to say hello to. But how about this? Bitcoin Mania says hello. Welcome. Remember when I say 12,500, how close it looks? Hey, you know what? Give credit where credit's due, right? So yeah, you probably came closer than anybody else. So you know what? I will definitely recognize that. Thank you for joining us here tonight. And how about this one? Boomer After Center. Cool. Thanks, my dude. My dad is wanting to copy. I believe the album was just made for the troops in World War II. I followed for the longest time, I always wanted to be like a true World War II historian, but that'll be for another show or a different channel someday. Crypto God says, what's up, people? Glad to have you here tonight. Everyone buying during these times will be regarded when the bull is back. Perspective is wealth, my friends. Yes, it absolutely is. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm, trying to even make more of a budget to, DCA into some of these, or even, open up my first positions in some projects that I believed in that I didn't get into before because at these, close to rock bottom rates. All right. So you guys welcome each other. I'm glad for that. And if anything, we're going to kick it in to the actual coverage of what's going on with everything in the overall crypto market cap and so on. A few things I want to kick it into before we get into like the likes of CMC and whatnot is, some of what you see right here, for instance, with the market. Actually, we're going to do a little bit of crypto bubbles just for a second. So, it's just massive things in bold red, like, it does seem like it's a lot of doom and gloom and whatnot. And I get that, for the overall market cap for the week, 19.9% for Bitcoin, Ethereum 25.6%. Of course, you guys saw basically that Binance was trending, I guess you could say, in a negative way as far as, down in, tanking and whatnot. Solana, you get the gist of it. I mean, heck, even Dogecoin, right, which was, one that really rallied hard the last couple weeks, down 42.2% on the day. It's just a sea of red, right? Except for this little guy over here, Mr. Luna Classic, right? So earlier, Luna Classic, especially about roughly 6 hours ago, I was looking at the 1 hour chart and so on, and I saw that when it came to Luna Classic, for instance, it was up like over 20% on the 1 hour. On the day, it's up on an average. Of course, this could definitely shift, towards the upside and whatnot, but 6.3%, going against what everything else is doing. This is good because if anything, remember the times when Luna Classic basically was starting to get that reputation, if you will, when Bitcoin and Ethereum is in a downward trend, Luna Classic was like, holding its own, and if anything, pumping against the market. I'm glad to see these indicators that this is happening again, because especially, let's face it, within the last couple of days before everything was like just crashing and massively, people felt as though that some people were saying that, Luna Classic is dead and so on. I don't think it's dead at all. I think if anything, you're seeing it's still trend. People are still talking about it, and these are really good indicators. There's still that supply, there's still that demand for it. And again, as long as we have good solid proposals, people are continuing talking about it, it's gonna be more than fine. But anyway, some more I want to get into is this right here. Actually, I should say this right here. I'm gonna pull it up just in a sec because I want you guys to hear it. And for instance, I gotta mute this. That was my other screen. But I wanted you guys to hear this. You guys, of course, are very familiar with the likes of what's his name, Kevin O'Leary, and so on. Give me just a second. I'm just gonna pull that up. And it's in direct reference with what is going on, currently speaking, with the market, what's going on with our economy, the world, you name it. This is like a brief, maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, not too long, but it really pounds home with what is going on right now with everything that you're seeing. So give me just a moment to share that. And here we go.
Each recession, and I've lived through, and I've seen this movie many times before, has its own personality. This one's unique. It's very hard to contemplate a recession at full employment, yet that's what we have. In my portfolio of companies, private, all of them, about 56 of them, they're across all 11 sectors of the S&P in almost every geography in the US. We see the tear sheets for revenue and cash flow on a very orderly basis, often once a week. And here's the challenge for any small business right now. So full employment, we haven't seen a slowdown in consumer demand. And at the same time, you're watching all this doom and gloom, and I see it too. And so do the CEOs of these companies, and their decision. The hard part of all this is what to do about inventory going into holiday and Q1. Do you pull back because you think this recession is going to hit us in Q4, which we're basically in right now, and holidays coming up in a few weeks, extended holiday this year by over 3 days, which if you're doing 200 million, 150 million in sales, a lot of inventory. And so you're trying to gauge the pessimism out there as the stock market tries to forecast the future in 2023. Meanwhile, your sales are humming. So do you want to leave anything on the table? And more of a perplexing situation coming out of the pandemic is most of these companies have gone past 50% direct-to-consumer models. Big, succulent margins, direct-to-consumer, bypassing retail, advertising digitally, acquiring customers economically. They know their CAC, they know their subscription services, they know the attrition rates, they're making money, and if they sell product online that they don't have to ship, well, you should burn in hell in perpetuity for that. And so, that's basically the challenge that most small businesses have. There is no evidence of a recession yet clearly the market is telling you it's coming. You just don't know when. Last speculation I'll make, the reason this is happening is we printed $6.7 trillion basically for free in 30 months. And then we say, oh, there's inflation. Well, no shit, there's inflation because extra cash chasing fewer goods creates higher prices, which is what's happened. But all that cash is still sloshing around, which is why the consumer's not dead yet. That's my 2 cents on it.
Again, in direct correlation with what is going on right now with the overall market. I'm going to take a moment to kick it back into the comments because I'm actually going to take the recommendation the other day from Salamander. I'm see how this basically works. Doing a little bit of jumping back, like say for instance, I know we just started this right now. The first part, of course, was a lot of reading the comments, but I am going to start right now, reading about maybe like 5 minutes of comments and kicking back and forth. And we'll see how this goes, and see how the flow maintains and so on. Let's get to the next comment. For instance, Mr. No Face, FTX out the way is big for BUSD. It seems to me. Any thoughts? By the way, that rhymes, and you ran it after Selmo or Selmo Fund. Anyway, yeah, I think if anything, it could be very big, but how should I say this? So there's some weird things I've seen today with the market especially when it came to some of these stable coins. And I saw some of them basically go to like 97.8. Again, we've seen this before in the market, but it made me think to myself, oh no, don't tell me this is going to be the next step, right? I mean, like we already had enough bad news and so on. So my personal thoughts in regards to, FTX out of the way, and so on it's not just that. It's not really technically fully out of the way. We have some coverage we're going to show you guys in reference to some of this with FTX. It's not a fully done thing, and of course we'll get more into that, but I'm glad you brought that up. Michael Montclair, 3 giants have fallen. Now it's time for us to rise. Coochie Boy, rumor is KuCoin and Crypto.com having issues. Dollar cost average responsibly. Here's the thing with KuCoin. So I reported, I think yesterday or maybe the day before, the whole issue with KuCoin with simply buying on there. I understand there's another issue, of course, with the withdrawals. That's a whole other story in itself. But I, of course, was able to still buy on KuCoin. I just wasn't able to just do, have the convenience of swiping, for instance, my debit card and get my crypto and whatnot. I had to take other avenues of going through like a third party and, of course, paying, I guess you say a little bit more. And when I added it up, compared to the likes of Crypto.com, because you made me thinking, well, for a lot of the ones you listed earlier, Max, you could have just got that on Crypto.com. That is true. But at the same time, you got to keep in mind, I'm sure you already know this, right? But the likes of Crypto.com, it's kind of like your cake and eat it too, right? So it's like, it's a lot more expensive, right? So if I'm buying on Crypto.com and then, CMC, for instance, is listing, I don't know, let's just say, for instance, HNT, right? So HNT helium is at, $2.85 and so on. I go on Crypto.com to buy it. It's literally like 30 to 40 cents more. You know what I mean? So then I was adding, okay, well, what about the fee for going through a third party? Anyway, when I did all the math on it, it still came out that I would get more bang for my buck still going with the KuCoin route, even though I had to go through a third party to purchase my crypto. Anyway, how about this? Sum of FUD. I can see BlackRock coming to rescue FTX in some capacity. Man, you nailed it on the head with that. I really see that coming as well. And I'll give you credit if this happens, guys. Sum of FUD, call it first. I really see that happening as well. That simply makes sense. And let's face it, BlackRock, they are all about acquiring assets on a massive scale. They are the world's largest asset custodian, right? You don't just get that title for no reason. All right, Coochie Boy, contagion is real. No, Mr. No Face, KuCoin had something going on earlier for everyone. Sure knows now not to call CZ. Yeah, geez. All right, we got 30 wonderful people here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here at Crypto Talk Now. Go ahead and hit that like button. For all the newcomers, I'd like to go ahead and welcome you. Thank you so much for tuning us in our platform with you tonight. We're going to go ahead and kick it into some more of this coverage. And if anything, here's the good news, I should say, in the day of bad news. We're going to watch this short clip. A lot of you guys, of course, have seen the movie, the films, The Wolf of Wall Street, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Margot Robbie, Matthew McConaughey, and so on. But in reference to this big crash, I really hope you enjoy this particular video. I will state this. I'm going to have a disclaimer. We do try to keep the show family friendly. There is some language in this particular video. So if you happen to have a child or anybody watching with you and so on, you may want to consider them not hearing some of this. But if anything, enjoy some of the good laughs and so on. Yeah, it's crypto. But you know what? Sometimes you do need a good laugh on this particular segment. Let's go ahead and get into that. Just a moment for me to share it for you to hear it. And we'll, of course, come right back. Let me go ahead. There it is. And let me just go ahead and pull this up. All right. My bad. There it is. All right. Just making sure I wasn't muted or anything. That would have been horrible, right? Anyway. All right. So here it is. It says, if Wolf of Wall Street were about crypto, and this is in direct relation to what's going on with the particular market. It's only about 4 minutes, 25 seconds, so it's not super long or anything like that. I really hope you enjoy this. This got me to subscribe to this particular guy's channel. So just take a moment, and here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I gotta say, I'm incredibly excited to be part of your DAO. I mean, the community you've built is absolutely...
Fuck the community. Your only responsibility is to get their liquidity on the table. You got a girlfriend?
No, I'm engaged. My fiance, Sunmi, she's a blockchain dev.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Think about Sunmi. Name of the game. Move the money from your LP's pocket into your pocket.
LP?
Liquidity provider.
Right. But if you can make your LP's money at the same time, it's advantageous for everyone, correct?
No. Number one rule in crypto. Nobody. I don't care if you're Su Zhu or Su Long Tang. Nobody knows if the token will go up, down, sideways, or in fucking circles. Least of all us DAO founders. Sola Fugazi. You know what a Fugazi is?
Fugazi, it's a fake.
Yeah, Fugazi, it's a waz. It's a woozy. It's fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It is not on the elemental chart. It's not fucking real. All right?
Right.
Stay with me. We don't create shit. We don't build anything.
Well, we are building a decentralized reserve currency. You know, we are bringing stability into...
What the fuck even is stability? From whose perspective? The US dollar? Gold? Bitcoin? Your girlfriend's Birkin? Stability, utility, credibility, just more words to mask the same old protocol of give me your money and I promise I'll make you more money. Maybe.
Michael, give yourself a little bit more credit. It's a little bit more complex than that. Right? I mean, most DeFi 2 protocols are...
Nobody knows how it works. We just take their garbage coins and put them in a stew with other useless coins and call it a treasury. No, it's a whole new thing. The code is all forked from Olympus. I don't fucking know how it works. Like I said, we don't build anything. So if you have users who staked and earned 10,000% API in the last few weeks, he's all fucking happy. He wants to swap his tokens, liquidate, take his fucking money and run home. You don't let him do that.
No.
Because that would make it real.
Right.
What do? You get another brilliant idea, a special idea, another situation, another staking reward to reinvest his earnings. Then he will, every single time, because they're fucking addicted. And we just keep doing this again and again and again. Meanwhile, he thinks he's getting shit rich, which he is on paper. But you and me, we're taking home cold hard cash by dumping our governance tokens on them, motherfucker.
Right.
Right. Oh.
That's incredible, sir. Can't tell you how excited I am.
Well, they don't call me Sifu for no reason, am I right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. 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 Oh fuck.
All right. Maybe you guys have seen that before. Maybe you haven't. I just thought it was, perfect timing with this whole thing happening with the crash. Want to have some entertainment on top of it, right? Might as well laugh compared to cry when it comes to all this. All right, gonna go ahead and kick it back into the comments just here briefly. Give me just a second to see if anything else came in. All right. Gonna go ahead and read this comment. So, for instance, he's in his pajamas, bottoms. I bet, again, always is from his house, says Michael Montclair. Crypto Talk now, cut back on inventory. My bad, he's in full suit, lol. Let's see here. Crypto Talk now. This is the only beginning. More pain coming for the financial markets. Okay, thank you for that. There's Mr. Cool Cat Crypto in the house. Good to see you, Cool Cat. Everyone's welcome, of course. Cool Cat, thank you for that. How about this comment? Boomer effing Sooner. What happened with Gala? MaximusCrypto.com suspended trading for it. I didn't get a chance to actually get into that particular one, but let me see. I could just, of course, pull it up real quick. See if there's anything, of course, going on with that. All right. Let me see. I guess there's apparently an exploit a couple days ago. We'll take a moment to pull that up for you. And let's see. Let me just go ahead and do so. So, for instance, I believe it's right here. And it states, straight from Cointelegraph, Gala token exploit resulted from public leak of a private key on GitHub. It appears that the leaked private key caused a change of ownership that in the compromised smart contract 70 days prior. If this actually has to do with, during the same time frame of why Crypto.com did what they did, could very well be the case. But just the quick gist of this, without reading all of it, it mentions that according to a new post by blockchain security firm Slomis on November 7th, it appears that the last week's token exploit affected GameFi project Gala Games resulted from a public leak of applicable security keys on GitHub. As told by Slomis, the P network, the cross-chain interoperability bridge used by Gala Games on the Binance Smart Chain, had 3 privileged roles in its smart contract. The quote says, the admin role is used to manage upgrades and changes to the admin address of the proxy contract. The code that you see right here, that default admin role is used to manage various privilege roles in logic, for instance, Mina role. And the Mina role manages the Gala, or I should say the P-Gala token, meaning authority. Of course, I haven't been able to, of course, verify if that is specific to or in correlation with what's going on with crypto.com. But nonetheless, I thought I would just bring this up just here briefly. If anybody else has more details about that, we could definitely share that. Everyone's saying hello, of course, to Cool Cat. Calvin, regarding FTX, it'll be interesting if one or two financial institutions make a play for it. Yeah, I don't know if you're here with the comment from Selma Fudd, but he basically outlined that. Again, I wouldn't be surprised, like he mentioned, if we did see the likes of BlackRock basically, seeing that as being a big opportunity for them. And how about this? Have we forgot about VGX? You might have a big powerhouse, for instance, like BlackRock, who may just decide, you know what, let's get a 2-for-1. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised on that either. Of course, everyone's saying hello to Calvin. Thank you so much for welcoming your fellow brothers, members of the CTN network community. Wolf of Wall Street pun. Yes, absolutely. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that particular clip. I thought it was really well done and perfect timing, of course, with this whole market crash and whatnot. Boomer F and Sooner, they are going to throw midgets at the Velcro wall and take like 8 super strong lewds each. All right. Fast forward to The Office. Yeah, it was just a short clip, but I did try to see if they had any other coverage in regards to some of the things that you're mentioning. I thought the same thing too. I wonder if they have more of this about, but to the parody of crypto, I didn't quite see that, but of course I could go further into it on another day. But just thought it was, of course, perfect for today. Cool Cat Crypto, Jonah Hill running around with his Johnson out the party. Yeah. All right. Boomer reference sooner. You know what? That scene was improvised. Yeah, of course. Cool Cat Crypto. I did not know that. All right. Here we go. A little bit further down. At least Larry hopes so. You are still bullish as you know what. And Michael Montclair, seriously, I don't stake my tokens for that exact reason. I mean, man, here's the sad thing about it, right? So that's a parody. But think of how many projects where that's true. My goodness. I mean, here's something I want to share with you guys just real quick. All right. Another reason why I'm not a big fan, of course, of the meme token projects and so on. I'm going to show you this, and I'm just going to go straight to the bottom. Hold on. Here we go. Man, FTX within, I remember 6 hours ago, this was at $4 and now at 238. And of course, there's that whole notice. I think it was CZ of Binance or somebody from Binance basically saying, do not buy the FTT token. Now, did I see the reasons for that? No, I didn't. But yeah, it's crazy. All right, hold on a second. I'm just pulling up this list. So here's my thing, all right? In direct correlation to one of the recent comments. A lot of these, for instance, meme token ones are just gone. Kishimoto, don't get me wrong, is still around. They're into the V2 and so on. But it's just like some of the delisting of some of these. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, some of these are like V2s, but I mean, come on, man, like multi-farm capital. I mean, I go to that, there's not even a listing. I'm just thinking about, for instance, some of the ones that like top influencers, hate to say that, have shilled and told people to get into, whether it's the likes of Shibtoro, right? How about this? Boba Mask, right? Some of you guys, I mean, I add to my list as well. I didn't get into it, thank God. But this is the crap that I'm talking about, okay? So you go to here, for instance, they rebranded from what was it, Boba something another to Boba Mask, and a lot of people are like, all right, right on, this seems like it's going to make sense. You go to here, and like I'm thinking, like, all right, let's see how their community thing is going with Twitter, right? Go there. This account doesn't exist. Oh, big red flag, right? On top of that, all right, well, what about their site? 404 not found. And it's just, this is what I'm talking about. It's just like, again, doing more of your own research and so on. I get it. I'm a firm believer that a lot of our community, myself and so on, Larry's seen it, and some of you other guys, like you're into a lot of different projects, And I think for the most part, our community does a good job of researching projects, and rightfully so. But my thing is this: when I make the statements that I'm so done with most meme tokens, I literally am. Don't get me wrong. There's a few, like you guys would point out, you're okay with putting like $100 in such and such project and so on. And, if you lose, you lose. I get that. But man, when I go back to my watch list, and I literally see crap like this, where it's not even freaking listed anymore. A lot of these, don't get me wrong, like I mentioned, I understand that some of these, the reason why they're not listed is because they're in a V2. Okay. But for those particular examples, I mean, Boba Mass, for crying out loud, some of these other ones, I mean, when I'm getting a big part of my my watch list cleared out like that, it just if anything, when you hear people make the comments that with crypto regulation and so on, in a year's time, you heard it, 90% of these projects are going to go away. Well, that further solidifies just that. All right, gonna kick it back into the comments just here briefly, and then we'll get back into some of the other coverage. So, for instance, Larry says XRP is dropping for me. Yeah, I mean, you wanted to get in at 37 cents. I'm currently looking at it as we speak, and if anything, it's nuts. I mean, looking at it right now, even with the likes of XRP, it's down below that 37 cents. It's at 34 cents. So could you get your goal of 25 cents in XRP, for $1? I mean, if that was the route you're really going to go with, I guess technically speaking, you're only about 9 cents away from hitting that goal, which is insane. Cool Cat Crypto, I doubt XRP will go under 30 cents. Well, you know what? We all have a lot of doubts, right? But look what happened. The time to buy is now. Yeah, that's the way I feel about it, personally. Elaine Brummett, my girlfriend, hello. Thank you for being here. And by the way, shout out again to you. Happy birthday. Hopefully the thing you got to go to earlier, hopefully you end up being great. Thanks so much for being here. Tim Shea says hello to Elaine. And thank you guys for giving her a warm welcome. Brilton, he says hello as well. Elaine says hi back to Tim and Joyce and everybody else. And let's see here. Larry, buy now. Yeah, to say the least. Elaine's saying hello to Briltony. All right, how about this? Let's kick this right down to this particular one, and then we'll kick it back into some more of the coverage. Breaking: Elon registers Twitter as a bank. Wow, that's amazing. What could be? I don't know. There'll be sounds great, but is hopefully Dogecoin still going to be a payment method? It's kind of crazy to hear. Hopefully it's something separate, but the whole talk of it, being a bank and then Dogecoin, being deposit. I don't know. I shouldn't laugh about that because I hold a lot of Dogecoin. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in regards to that. I would like to hear it. All right, I'm going to kick it back, of course, into because again, I'm testing out this back and forth flow. I think it's going all right so far. Let's go ahead and recognize what's going on with some of these other things. So, for instance, there is this. Oh, I need to share it a different way. My bad. This doesn't take long, but it is in regards to what's going on with the overall market. This was, of course, a little while back, but it is in reference to, again, just that, what's going on with the overall market. Pardon the language, but, like it says, holy crap, in front of a room of lawmakers. And this one's only 42 seconds, but man, when you hear it, it is like a holy crap moment. We'll reflect on it in just a moment. Here we go.
Last thing that I'll say is if you look at what precipitated some of the 2008 financial crisis, you saw a number of bilateral, bespoke, non-reported transactions happening between financial counterparties, which then got repackaged and re-leveraged again and again and again, such that no one knew how much risk was in that system until it all fell apart. If you compare that to what happens on FTX or other major cryptocurrency venues today, there's complete transparency about the full open interest. There's complete transparency about the positions that are held. There's a robust, consistent risk framework applied, and we're excited to work with the CFTC on our U.S. licensed and regulated venue to bring a lot of this. Last thing that I'll say is if you look.
Crazy to hear that, especially from Sam Bankman-Fried, especially with everything that's recently been going on, right? a little bit more in regards to today's coverage. With all this, of course, I showed you a little bit about what happened with crypto bubbles and so on. I am now going to kick it into what's going on with the overall crypto market cap. So, guys, it's just that, I mean, you probably have seen this multiple times today. If you haven't, that's fine as well. Yeah, crazy crypto market crash. Legrand Commission basically sent out a team text earlier saying that Bitcoin earlier today touched the, the 15, under 16,000 in the 15s, right? Which is just insane, right? So like, Bitcoin in general didn't see 16,000. The last time it's seen that was like, in 2020. And then for this to hit or touch that 15 area was just, it's just nuts. As far as what's going on in the 1 hour, nothing too significant. Are we, before this big crash was doing some decent things and so on. Immutable IMX, I'm not familiar with that, but it's in the top 100. It's up 6.13%. As far as on the 24-hour chart, nice to see Luna Classic at least doing something, right? And right now, it's hovering around that 5 to 6% on the 24-hour average. Earlier again today, roughly about 6 to 7 hours ago, we saw a big 1 hour pump for Luna Classic on that 1 hour chart. It was up over 20%, and even right now it's up 4%. It's going against the overall market, and if anything, I think that's a good step in the right direction, because that is what stood out for Luna Classic. And then of course from there we saw a lot of breakouts, which was a really good thing. I'm glad to see Luna Classic trending, especially during these volatile times with the crash and so on. As far as what's going on 7-day, I mean, I don't know if I really want to reflect so much on 7-day because of what's happened recently in the market. All right, a little bit more in regards to today's coverage on the crash. Here's a little bit of what's going on with my particular watch list. If you have a watch list, it might look a lot different, because let's face it, a lot of times we're into a lot of different ones and so on. No, I'm not into Zombie Inu, but I do like to pay attention to what's going on with certain meme token projects. Yeah, I speak against a lot of them and so on. That doesn't mean I speak necessarily against your particular bag and whatnot. Again, my policy for myself is to not spend any more than 100 towards any of these. And then on top of that, my days of just like, getting into like 10 plus of these, I won't do it. If I do get into like a meme token related project, it might not even be a handful of them. It might be like 1 or 2, if that. So on the 24-hour chart, refresh that. Hold on a second. Again, it shows Zombie Inu and so on. Obviously, Hex. Let's face it. If you guys heard the recent news in regards to Hex, there's that, of course, the subpoena even towards influencers. Not every influencer, but specific influencers that promoted Hex, P-Hex, and then, of course, the Pulse chain. It sucks. And on top of that, how about this? Here's a weird thing. So, I'm going to bring this up just briefly in regards to Hex. So I saw this, and maybe some of you guys saw this a long time ago. Of course, there's the whole thing about, the politics of CMC, and, a lot of people are against CMC. I just like it because I think it's a convenient thing to use. Let's face it. But I know a lot of people, of course, boycotted. They refuse to use CMC and so on because of the politics that are behind it. But check this out. So before and currently speaking, when there's verified market cap, then the project or product, because let's face it, Richard Hart labels Hex as a product, not a project. Once it gets verifiable market cap, then it gets listed properly in the rankings. This is a verified market cap. There is no red flag here. You see that it has 5.5 billion in market cap. If anything, this should be easily listed as a top 100. It is not. This is a perfect case of even though it's verified. Again, whether I don't know who's calling the shots on this, maybe it is CZ or whatnot, but they refuse to list this in the top 100. Now you may be saying, well, Max, that's because the whole thing that happened with the SEC. My answer to that is, okay, if that is the case, this happened long before the whole thing with the SEC. So I just wanted to point that out in that regard. Just a little bit more before, of course, we kick it back in the comments and try to keep a good flow of, maybe 5 minutes, give or take, back and forth. And that, of course, is a little bit more of what's going on my particular watch list. I did see a few ones that were on sale and so on that really stood out. So not much, of course, is really doing, going green with these big crashes. As far as the ones that were massively on sale, of course, I do not advise getting into FTX. Maybe you will recognize it. Maybe you'll hit bottom, wherever the case be. If you're hearing an official announcement from the likes of, was it CZ or was it somebody else from Binance saying, do not invest or buy any of the FTT token? Some people may consider that as a conspiracy and they'll just keep buying more. Whatever the case be, I mean, you do see the volume is up. People are definitely buying it. But, some of these other ones, we briefly saw Bitcoin Pay. Mike Cornwell pointed that one out to me a while back. Felt as though it's everything that Bitcoin basically is as far as the circulating supply and so on. It's just a lot lower market cap. And I guess apparently it's like on Bitmart and so on. This is significantly down. Maybe it's an opportunity. I don't know. I haven't researched it enough, but there's quite a few things on sale. Even on Clearpool, I've done like over 30 videos on that one. The original ICO, or I should say IDO, the initial DAO offering when it first came out was 4 cents. This is roughly right around those particular levels. I, of course, got into Chili's as of recently. If you guys saw my tweet in regards to that, I was preparing for just that, the World Cup that's coming up at the end of the month. I had to prepare myself for it. I felt as these price levels, why not? On top of that, I'm actually considering probably later tonight getting back into VGX. I was going to go ahead and basically buy some by swapping my ETH for VGX on my Coinbase wallet, because that would have been an easy way to go about it for me. We all have our different ways of doing it. Anyway, some of the other ones I saw here as well. Again, yours may look different. I think Bone might actually be one I finally get into. I'm kind of on the fence about that, but at 66 cents in this crash, that's huge, because just about 6 to 7 hours ago, right, when you saw FTX right around that $4 mark, you also saw, for instance, Bone was roughly around the 88-cent mark, and now it's down to 66 cents. So that's a big drop in a matter of only 6 to 7 hours. All right, I'm going to kick it back into the comments, and then, of course, we'll give you guys some more coverage here at Crypto Talk Now. Tim Shea, Cool Cat, says he saw that. It is interesting. I will agree with that. Boomerang and Sooner says he likes that. Tim Shea, I think that part is why he sold 3.8 billion in Tesla last week. That's a good point. I did see that announcement the other night that he did sell a bunch of his shares and so on. Here's a nice super chat. Thank you so much, Salamander. $5 super chat. Wow, congratulations. 900,000 XDC just bought today. You have been killing it on the dollar cost averaging, my friend. Glad to see it. I'm also going to, of course, try to do a little bit more XDC coverage. I did see some updates, and I wanted to at least put out the info out there for the recorded, because we are getting a decent amount of reception, subscribers, and so on from our XDC base on the recorded. Of course, we realize we have people watch the live coverage as well, but we're trying to keep up with that, kind of like with all the quant coverage you've seen recently, and that's been doing really well as well. Recent quant coverage daily within the last week. But yeah, man, you're only 100,000 away from that million goal of XTC. Congratulations. That's really impressive. And thank you again for the super chat. Boomer F and Sooner. That's what I was thinking. Gotta buy Doge now. Yeah, you know what? Let's take a moment to see what's going on with Doge. I think it's what was it, around 6 cents, 5 cents? I don't know. Let me double check that. Let me see. So Doge, let's pull it up. So I think on the overall crypto market cap, we did see this go down to 809. Now we're at 814. You know how it goes. It fluctuates, it pulls back. How about the other day, right? Yeah, was it yesterday, the day before? We saw this crash down to like 870, or actually more than 850. Can't remember. Then it went to 1.01 trillion, and I was like, well, that was interesting. I was literally saying to Edward, like, what the heck's going on with this market? But anyway, Dogecoin, let's pull it up. They did drop one spot. Cardano is now ahead of it again. Okay, so Dogecoin is now back to 0.7788. Could it drop further down? Could very well. A lot of it could very well, right? You know, for instance, Bitcoin Mania, his original prediction of Bitcoin dropping down to 16,037, or sorry, 12K. He's probably come to more closer than anybody else on his prediction. Shout out to him. I mean, yeah, I get people shout outs and so on, but let's face it, man. I mean, doom and gloom shout outs. It's kind of rough. But if you're a fan of the bear market, then I guess these are the times that you look forward to. All right. Getting further down. Damon Vargas, 90% of all projects gone. I think it's just inevitable. It really, really is. If anything, going through countless pages of reading about all these different, garbage ones out there and so on. If anything, these listings that you see in the top left, for instance, on CMC, have seen like 22,000 different cryptocurrency projects. I think if anything, sooner than later, you're going to see that slashed, and maybe you'll start say like 15,000 or so on. But who is going to do the cleanup of that? Like the custodial, duty of going through all that. That in itself, that would be very, very time consuming. You hire a team to basically, clean up all the trash, the garbage, sweep it away, if you will. We'll have to see how that goes. They might say, well, to heck with it, because even on my watch list, right? Those are still listed. Nothing going on there, but they're still listed. Does that still count towards the overall amount of crypto projects? Yes, it definitely does. It still adds to that count. But I do realize that CMC, for instance, has their criteria as far as tracking, and some people still have the attitude like, well, to hell with CMC. I'll just go to CoinGecko or other avenues and so on, and rightfully so. I still go to some of those other ones. I would state this because I know that some of you guys are still fans of the meme token projects and so on. My go-to platform before, like how I found out about like the likes of Shibnobi, Shiba Doge, and so on, I would find out about those projects on CoinGecko way, way before you would ever see a listing on CMC. So I just want to throw that out there. But good to see you, Damon. Thank you for the comment. Boomer F and Sooner, nice purchase, Mr. In Space. I like that, Mr. In Space. All right. Tim Shea, Sal Miranda is almost there. Yeah, he really, really is. Joyce says Doge is under 8 cents. It is. Thank you for pointing that out. Is that Flounder from Animal House? All right. You guys are all meowing together. Hey, there he is. Mike Cornwell, good to see you. I did see you the other night, probably really busy and so on. Hopefully you're feeling better. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight at Crypto Talk Now. You guys are doing the meows to each other. This is good. Larry states he's buying Doge again when it hits 5 cents. Good point. I think if anything, that was the bottom for Doge. Will it continue to be the rock bottom? We don't know. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there could be another massive crash, and if Bitcoin drops to 12K, like Bitcoin Mania pointed out, then yeah, Doge and the rest of them and so on would be a lot further down. How much further down? Well, if we went from 20K or 21.5K, let's face it, down to touching the 15s, and that shifted Dogecoin from, let's face it, roughly, what was it, 11 cents and so on, down to what it is right now at 7, slightly below 8. I don't know. What do you guys think? Roughly in the 3s? Of course, we got to calculate market cap. That's a big thing in itself, understanding market cap. But I think it will definitely have a huge impact. But for now, I would say 5 cents, I think, is the lowest that we have seen recently. All right, Charles Vinson. I picked up Solana today just to see all kinds of scary stuff about it, and I hopped back out. Is Solana pretty closely tied to the FTX biz? Yes, it is. There's been some things mentioned in regards to all that. So if you go to, for instance, CMC, I don't know if it's trending right now. Let me just double check. It is. All right. I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's present that just here real quick and reflect on that for just a brief moment. So if you go to CMC, And of course, this has been happening actually well into even yesterday, right? You see that these top three are trending because they're all part of the same mix of what's been going on. All right. So BNB in itself is down 13.50%. It was even down further than that. I saw FTX, of course, tank massively. Like, I think I saw as high as 77%. Of course, this was maybe earlier today, possibly even yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And of course, it's still in the downward trend. And then Solana was also part of that mix part yesterday. This is going to continue to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw this still trending well into, for instance, tomorrow, unless there, of course, is the likes of another token or coin that is obviously trending even that much more, whether it's on the upside or part of the crash. But I just definitely wanted to point that out because I do remember seeing that Solana was part of that mix. A little bit more in regards to getting into the comments. People, of course, welcoming Mr. Michael Cornwell. Salamander, FTX has reportedly hit 6 billion in withdrawals in just 72 hours. Yeah, it's the whole thing with fear. A lot of times when there's extreme fear, people they want to cut their losses and so on. Think about this. I mean, whether it's crypto or, let's face it, fiat. I'm trying to pronounce that apparently the right way. When I hear Tim Shea say, yeah, it's fiat, I'm like, okay, well, Tim Shea saying it, then I'll look more into it. And I did verify it. Yeah, it is fiat. So it isn't a case of tomato. But anyway, yeah, take, for instance, the 1929 stock market crash. People can't, if they see a big crash, people all rush to the banks and so on, and they try to withdraw all their money all at the same time. I think this is yet another perfect example. Yes, this is crypto, but it's still a perfect example. Fear will lead to panic, and that's what you're literally seeing in the markets as we speak. All right. Joyce agrees with Larry about 5 cents. Salamander, FTX saw 6 billion in withdrawals in a crypto bank run after its announced deal with Binance. Everyone's saying hello to Charles. Yes, good to see you, Charles. Thanks for being here tonight. And of course, Tim Shea, right back at you, my friend. Always has great info. I'm going to go ahead and share. I think this is going really well, the back and forth. You know what? I'm going to continue to go with this because think about this. Before, it's like I had to do a whole grocery list of stuff to catch up with it, and it kind of ruins the flow. Shout out to you, Salamander. We're going to continue with this, and if anything, I think that's where, I like being able to get constructive criticism and feedback. If anything, it's benefiting our show. And if anything, it benefits you guys because it helps continue that good flow that you want to see. You want a good balance of crypto. You want a good balance of comments, entertainment, and so on. All right, let's get it back into our particular coverage that we have here at CTN. I'm going to kick it into the next thing here. And believe it or not, it is quant, but it's not like a ton of coverage. But there's some things I definitely wanted to point out. Shout out to this guy again, who is Quant Papa. On today's quant video, I did feature this particular clip, but it wasn't the whole focus. But for you guys, I definitely wanted to share this because it's in regards to what Gilbert Everdian, the CEO of Quant, has to basically say about what's recently happened with this crash and so on. So this is about a minute and a half. Think about what he says. And if anything, how about this? Remember when we did the 2-part special here at CTN when it came to these market cycles? Well, if anything, think about what he has to say in this and how it has, I guess you could say, direct correlation with this crash. Minute and a half, and we'll be right back as soon as it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been here before. The .com days had the same thing. You had all the hype and stuff, and everything .com got IPO'd, and people made lots of money from it, and then it completely crashed, right? And things died, right? And it was a good thing because a lot of things that were not necessarily irrelevant, just became obsolete. But the things that stayed were the guys who put their heads down and built technology within the .com days. And if you look at what happened, Cisco did really well. Microsoft became huge. Apple happened. Amazon happened. Facebook happened. All those things are all because of that crash or the bear market of the .com era. And so we're doing the same thing now. So all the exponential hype stuff that was sensationalized it's stopped, which is a good thing. The regulators got involved, which is a great thing because it really cleaned up the market quite a bit and brought some stability and legitimacy back to the market, back to the technology. And now we're seeing really innovative stuff when things are slow and hard, and the real innovators are out there building stuff. And that's what happened with Apple. I mean, HP, you go back in the 70s, big companies evolved out of a crash, and the world changed because of that. So we're in that same situation now. So we're seeing a lot of the market cleaned up, and it's going to just grow exponentially because that's just the cycle of technology.
So a few key things I definitely want to point out, like where it says the market is cleaning up, right? So, when you have, for instance, the likes of Selmo Fudd, when you mention something like, he wouldn't be surprised to see the likes of, for instance, BlackRock coming on in, and think about this, cleaning up, right? Acquiring some of these, companies that are in distress, right? That's a form of the market cleaning up, literally recognizing those particular opportunities, and especially from the likes of the world's largest asset custodian, hence BlackRock, right? I think if anything, there's going to be more of these innovative companies that are going to emerge from these crash. Yes, we're talking about crypto, but you also have to recognize what has happened in history time and time again. I do truly believe that there is a direct connection when it comes to this. Yes, different forms of markets, but if anything, part of the overall bigger picture with markets. So I want to go ahead and get into this next one here. Another one is just a brief clip from, for instance, Gilbert in regards to 2008 with how he called it on, for instance, Bitcoin. We'll just take a brief moment to listen to that. Let me just pull that up for a second. All right, there we go. And let me just go ahead and share this. So shout out again to this guy, Quant Papa. He's like a Quant Maxi. I've been following him for a while, but it states, for instance, just make sure I'm not muted. It says educating them back in regards to Bitcoin back in 2008. Let's take a brief moment to listen to this because, I mean, he nailed it even back then.
So at the time, around 2008, I was working as a CTO in the UK government in the Treasury. So the Treasury runs all the economy in the UK. And I was at a government conference, and I got up and spoke, and I said, has anyone here seen or heard about Bitcoin? And no one knew anything about it. There wasn't a single person from any department, including the intelligence guys, law enforcement, all the other departments. No one knew anything.
Except you.
So I except me. So I'm one of those, techie guys that constantly keeps up to date with the latest things that are happening. Mm-hmm. So funny story. I spoke, and then at the tea break, the intelligence guys, which is kind of they're called GCHQ, which is the equivalent of the NSA. So they had a chat to me. They said, "What is this thing?" And I educated them, and they went off and did their research. And then I went back to work and spoke to my peers in the department, and I got the Treasury to do a policy assessment on blockchain, which included Bitcoin. And they looked at it, and as a government, we looked at it and said, this is a toy thing. It will never have any material impact to the UK's economy. Wow. And that was 2008. So that's incredible. And that was correct at the time. So yeah.
Sure. And obviously now we're seeing a very different landscape.
All right. So, for instance, I mean, call it back then. Again, give credit where credit's due. But I mean, if anything, recognizing the technology then, and then how it evolved from there. A little bit more that I want to share with you before we kick into the XRP news. And of course, I'm going to hop back into the comments just here briefly. But this next part is regards to TCP/IP internet scale. It's only about 1:20, but if anything, it's some pretty crazy info when you hear about, for instance, these terms are thrown around about interoperability with Quant and so on. But nonetheless, let me go ahead and kick it right into this particular one before I get to that super chat. Quant vids have been cool. Thanks so much, Charles. And how about this? Salamander in space. Salamander, the XDC commander, states nothing. Just basically has a $3 super sticker for CTN. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate the super chats, super stickers, you name it. And on top of that, we're going to get to a few more comments. Let's see here. You guys got the emojis going. Thank you so much for that, because it definitely helps with the algorithm. And he's got the money sticking out. All right. Let me just go ahead and highlight that and keep that highlighted. Let me get a banner going for you guys. So that is going to bring us to a segue, if you will, as Larry would say, which is right here at the bottom of the screen. And we're going to take a moment, basically, especially for all you newcomers, just want to take a brief moment to show you the Crypto Talk Now network app / website. Which I'm going to pull up right now. Let me see. All right. So it's right here. And, like it says, check out our new app. You can basically get it on the Google Play, the App Store, and so on. But, come check out the website as well. We have live tickers that are literally listed right here with various different cryptos. We have a creators section, as you can see right here. Me and Larry, Maria, Shaka, you name it, right? Really cool to see this. And on top of that, I've been posting a lot. So has Legrand, you name it. If you go to where it says more and you click on groups, for instance, you'll see this. So like, for instance, if I post, just random snippets, crypto news, just brief things like, watch a guru, you name it. For instance, like you'll see this, like it'll, basically mention some of these tweets, like, Twitter files paperwork to enter payments business. Pretty big stuff, right? Other members of communities, they'll go ahead and post in here, Bitcoin falling, for instance, just, a lot of this stuff. And then on top of it, we have, for instance, let me pull this up again. Some are recorded videos. We go ahead and just have right here. And then I got to, of course, post the one earlier about Quant. You get a chance to do that, but I definitely will post that in here. But, there's for instance, ones like that. Of course, it's on Quant. And if anything, you can connect with other members of the community. Of course, even right here, if you click on crypto news, for instance, I got to get Legrand to fix that part right there. I mean, there's some areas in which we have some typos and stuff like that, but we'll get that sorted out. But yeah, you got trading view snaps and so on. And it's just, we're trying to make this kind of more than just an index, I guess you could say an overwhelming area of just tons of crypto information, news, et cetera, et cetera. How about this, for instance? So we have this area that we want to show you. If you go to the top right about the NFTs, of course, we have this Patches CTN collection. And we have, for instance, these giveaways that we do every so often, not necessarily every day, but for instance, like Tim Shea, he won this particular one, the Patches CTN Blue Abstract. I think Cool Cat won and gave his NFT away to Boomer F and Sooner. Some of you guys, there's other members who obviously have won and so on. But yeah, definitely you want to check this out just by going to the CTN app. And it definitely, of course, not only helps our CTN network, family and community and so on, but if anything, it definitely helps try to get us out on a bigger stage, more awareness about CTN. All right. Let me, of course, kick it back to the comments just here briefly again. I like this back and forth. I think it's good. And let me see. We have more comments. So, okay, there's the last one. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and kick it back into some of our XRP, or I should say the last of our quant coverage before XRP. All right. here it is right here. This is in regards to this whole thing with TCP/IP internet scale. It's just only about a minute or so, but I really liked what I saw there. I want to, of course, share it with you guys. Give me just a moment. And again, this is it's kind of a while back, but it's straight from Gilbert Verdian. And if anything, I thought it was really interesting. Listen to what he has to state in this particular video, and then of course we'll be right back.
What we did was take a different approach. So what we've said with Overledger is let's not change blockchains. Let's let them develop. And there's 500, 5,000. The technology needs to develop and needs to mature. What we're doing is really the only technology that can sit on top and give you that interoperability at a very low protocol level. So think of it as TCP/IP of blockchain. And that's what we've worked on, and that's what we've developed, and that's what's Overledger. And the work from Overledger also led to founding the TC307 ISO standard. I wanted to have some regulation in this space because everything is being developed in silos. So the ISO standard that is being worked on, there's 45 countries now working together to standardize how blockchain should operate. That's quite powerful. I mean, try getting 45 countries in a room. The next meeting is in London, so that's going to be in May. So how are we achieving this vision? So we're creating interoperability at that low level, as I said, similar to the way TCP/IP works. We're connecting any blockchain together in a very unique way that is one blockchain to any blockchain without connectors, without any overhead, without any more risk. So we're doing it at internet scale. And we're also allowing people to connect blockchain networks and the whole blockchain world to existing networks through the Overledger.
All right, one thing I would definitely want to point out is what he mentioned with the whole thing with ISO. In our recorded video, we basically have stated a few videos back. One particular thing I want to point out was he outlines that back in 2014, he came out with an outline for, ISO standard. And if anything, if you look into all these ISO tokens / coins and so on, and then have the likes of Gilbert Verdian with Quant and realize where we're going with all this, especially this coming March of 2023, I think it's absolutely massive for Quant. On top of that, sometimes, and it's not just here, I've seen other people, of course, whether it's on CMC, just in the comments, I've seen even on Reddit and whatnot, a common thing. If people want to call it FUD, you can call it whatever they want. They'll say some stuff like, for instance, yeah, but it's an ERC20 token. My thing is this, you can't look at it from the perspective of you just investing into the particular token, right? My thing is you're literally investing into an operating system, right? The software behind it, and how that's all set up in itself. For instance, I think it's massive. Like what you saw, for instance, you can't bring 53 countries all into that one room. I mean, I guess you could have representatives from all those different countries, but I just think Quant is doing massive things at a scale that is just never seen before. Another thing that we point out, and of course in previous recorded videos, how about this? In 4 years' time, Quant has outperformed Bitcoin as far as what they've gone ahead and done in a short amount of time, as far as like market cap and so on. I get it. Bitcoin is the big one that stands out currently speaking, but I think their time is going to come where that is going to shift in a different direction. That's just my humble opinion. You can look more into it for yourself. A little bit more comments. Salamander's happy, and he says Quant is huge. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is the next part of our coverage for tonight. We have a couple more topics to get into, a little bit more in regards to the crash, but for now it's going to be XRP, and then we actually have some XDC news we're going to share with you as well. We still have quite a bit of time, not like where it's just overly long, but more coverage here at Crypto Talk Now in regards to a lot of news that's been happening. So give me just a moment to go ahead and pull this up for you guys, and we'll get right into it. Here it is. So you always hear this expression about the great reset, or the flip of the switch, if you will. Well, there's this. And of course, we showed this guy's particular coverage many times, who's Crypto Lulu. He has a pretty decent following, 12.7K followers. But it says, the good thing about the Great Reset, XRP, some of the points that are outlined here, I love what was shared and so on. Let's take a brief moment to listen to this, and of course, we'll kick it right back.
I think later on in the future, when we have our XRP and things are stable, and hopefully Nasara Chisara plays out too, I think you'll be able to do amazing things. And I'm talking about helping the world. Me personally, I'm a botanist. I don't know if I shared that with you. I love botany, love plants. I have a greenhouse in my bedroom. I want to open vertical farms in the Middle East and in Europe, and I want to help feed people. I really do. So I see a lot of positive things later on down the road. We're not there yet, but I mean, yeah, there's going to be some good things you could do with that kind of power later on. Well, a lot of people think that, like, hey, these guys are crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. But no, everything we've covered here so far is happening. It's going to happen. And I promise you, this stuff is going to play out very soon. So, here we are doing all the research, and I hope out there people will listen, and I hope they'll learn something from this and maybe learn to do their own research into what is an opportunity right before them, because I'm telling you, this is the last opportunity people are going to get. This is a wealth transfer. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. People don't need to blow it. They should really get on board with this stuff real fast and quickly get up to speed with what's happening.
That's the whole thing. The wealth transfer, understanding that, we're not going to be in the crypto winter forever and so on. It may seem like that on the short term. You're like, oh my goodness. Some of you guys, not all of you guys, let's face it, a lot of us are recognizing like, hey man, I like the bear market. I like these opportunities because I know what I'm investing in. I've done my research. I can see where this is going and so on. But for the newcomers and so on, it seems like a lot of the doom and gloom. It's recognizing what you have researched, right? Like you mentioned, to do your own research. And if anything, I think we're on the brink of the largest wealth transfer in history. All right. Salamander says Quant was huge. Yep, it is huge. It says Quant, the current coin market cap ranking is number 32. On top of that, Edward Vincent, he's doing vertical farming. Oh, okay. So right on. You can relate to that particular guy. Yeah, I remember that you mentioned some of those particular things. He says cool stuff. Gonna go ahead and show you guys just a little bit more in regards to some of the XRP news. And here we go. Let's see here. So for instance, let me pull this up. Yeah, here we go. I really like what I saw right here. This right here, again, it's from Crypto Lulu. It says, well, if that's not bullish for our XRP plans, I don't know what is. Of course, this is a presentation. I'm going to blow this up a little bit more. But, it's just like you see, right? We're talking about the Great Reset. We literally talked about on the show. We had that special, I believe it was last weekend, about the whole thing with these market cycles and so on. Heck, even Legrand Commission outlined in a video about, are we going to be entering into this next bull run, recognizing the 4-year cycles and so on. So literally, like we put a lot of emphasis right before you saw this big crash happen in regards to some of these shifts, or what we refer to as these cycles. So as you can see right here, it says a big shift is in motion. The largest tier 1 custodians invest in the infrastructure to safeguard the market, triggering a virtuous cycle of adoption. This shift creates new regulatory standards, banks setting up the gold standard of compliance practices. When I think of compliance practices, I immediately think of the, whole thing with ISO 222. And then I also think about, like, for instance, what some of these cryptos are backed by. Of course, we'll get more further into that. But it's kind of hard to see, but for instance, it mentions Wave 1, it says Shadow Crypto Finance. You have, for instance, the likes of Coinbase, Crypto.com, Kraken's Exchange, BlockFi, Chainlink, Bitstamp, heck, MetaMask, Gemini, you name it, right? And it mentions Wave 2, banks and regulated, it's kind of hard to read that part, but and it shows, for instance, Citi, of course, Visa, MasterCard, and so on. And if anything, it's just recognizing, again, some of these big shifts. Another thing I want to point out to you guys here in regards to our XRP coverage is a little bit more. of course, we saw this particular guy you're about to see here soon. He was interviewed before, but if anything, I think he makes some great points. And I've heard this expression used before, and that is just this. For instance, it says XRP is not an asset you sell. I know some of you guys have the attitude. It's like, well, if it's not an asset I sell, then how am I ever going to make money off of it? I get the argument, but here, this particular different point of view, and we're going to go ahead and jump into it. Again, it's just 2.5 minutes, but if anything, I think it pounds it home, like I mentioned before, in regards to selling the case for this type of way of going about, your XRP, if you happen to hold any, or if you think about getting into it. 2 minutes, 20 seconds. And again, we'll kick it right back.
I start looking, at what this stuff is designed to do and what it needs to do it. To me, it seems clear, right? I tell you right now, if I hypothetically held XRP, I wouldn't even sell it. Like that's to me, that's how valuable the asset is. I don't think this is an asset you sell. Okay. I think this is something that you hold on to until you die, and then you let it circulate through your family. Because that part alone, right? And see, that's the thing, right? With the pre-funding that we're talking about. The elimination of pre-funding is more than just putting XRP there for an insurance mechanism to make sure that it's at a high value so that people get their money, right? Or that they have the warm and fuzzy in the event that something happens, that they'll receive it. And if it's at a high price and you have to dip into it for something, you can use a lot less of said token versus using a bunch of it because it's at a low price, right? The elimination of pre-funding is also important because here's what I think is going to happen. You hear people call all of us in the community nut jobs for the gold backing and the Basel III, which, by the way, takes place January 1st, 2023, folks. If you didn't know. But outside of that, right, these central banks are not just finding gold out of nowhere. Like, oh, we took a hike, down the river and we just found, $19 trillion worth of gold. No, you didn't. Okay. All right. Stop with the BS. Guys have been planning this. All right. And building up your reserves. And they're doing it because they need to go to a gold standard. And it's not just America. It's going to be several countries across the board. America has the most dire need for it because of the relationship we have with Saudi Arabia and them cutting us off over 2 million barrels, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with them being our biggest oil supplier, them joining BRICS, and then turning around and saying, we want to negotiate with China to do trade in the digital yuan for this, with Russia turning around and telling people, we won't even accept your payments unless it's in the ruble. Well, what scratches that itch? See, that's where you talked about earlier, understanding the tech. If you understand.
All right. Yeah, definitely wanted to share that with you guys because, I mean, if anything, I have heard that thrown around quite a few times, like, I'm never selling my XRP and so on. Does that mean, there's going to be staking or whatever the case be? I'm not trying to take a deep dive into that. What I'm basically stating is, for a lot of you guys, you understand his the gentleman on the left, his perspective of what he's mentioning and so on. Take it as you will. I'm going to kick it back into the comments just briefly. And how about this? Salamander Space states, Visa, MasterCard might partner or buy out XRP. I haven't heard about that. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. In regards to Quant, I know they definitely have that, for instance, partnership because of the APIs and so on. Some of that makes sense. I do definitely see like maybe a partnership for the likes of XRP, but as far as like buy it all outright, I don't personally see that. But again, I could be completely wrong in that regard. All right, Salamander, the XDC commander states, don't be surprised XRP in the future or Quant becoming the number one and Bitcoin number 2 or 3. That's the way I look at it right now. And the reason for it is I'm glad you brought that up. All right. And of course, like Boomer mentioned, he says, well, yes, Quant will be king. Let's just take a moment to reflect on what you guys are basically stating right here, because I think if anything is true. Here's why I feel like this. I even had this conversation with Edward Vincent of, by the way, Crypto Talk Now VR, one of our sister stations. And that is, this right here, you go over to, for instance, the overall crypto market cap, look at the rankings and so on. Yeah, there's all this doom and gloom, right? Given. But even before all the doom and gloom, there's this XRP. Now, this was, again, before the major crash that happened, this was sitting at number 6. Think about this, okay? The overall market cap for XRP before the crash and so on, or even right now, right? You're sitting at 17.293 17,293,000,000 roughly, okay, on its market cap. The volume it does, I mean, it's still a ton, like 3.7 billion, so on and so forth, right? It's dropped down, of course, to 35 cents. You had the whole thing with the SEC that's been happening for the longest time, and a lot of, let's face it, doom and gloom, and much of earlier this year, if not especially last year, people looked at XRP as like, well, I don't know if I want to get into XRP because if the SEC wins, then it's just going to kill it. And what they don't realize is, if you're doing more of your research, if the SEC did win, yeah, it sucks that would happen. And if anything, it's I guess you could say it hurts crypto, but I don't think that's the end of XRP and Ripple. And of course, we've talked about that many times. The point I'm trying to do or share with you guys is this: with all those negative things happening, right? XRP is still in the top 10 on overall market cap, right, on its ranking. If they're able to maintain this with all these things that have gotten in their way, imagine when these things are out of their way, right? Massive things. I'm with you guys with your statements of seeing this thing increase possibly up to number 1. So I think definitely with Quant, and then XRP right up there in that mix, even ahead of Ethereum if they don't even take Bitcoin. So I mean, I know it seems like a crazy prediction, and people might say I'm nuts. I'm cool with that. My thing is this: I think it's inevitable. Quant becomes the new number 1, and XRP will be a close second. The Ethereum, their days are limited. I think that drops further down. I'm not saying that Ethereum is going to like tank down to like number 10 or something like that. But if anything, you see what's coming. You see what the shifts. And with those shifts happening, you're going to see a shift with these rankings on the overall crypto market cap. All right. A little bit more I want to share with you guys. By the way, great feedback from you guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all those who are still here tonight with us. Boomer F is sooner. Prediction. He states number 1, Quant. Number 2, XRP. Wow. Like, I didn't even read that comment. I wasn't even cheating and looking at your comment. Yeah. So you and I see pretty much eye to eye on Quant and XRP. It's crazy. XLM number 3. You know what? I might be right there with you. I can see that. Based on my holdings of XLM, I literally now hold more XLM than Ripple's XRP. But by the way, that's probably going to change here soon if XRP keeps dropping in price. I'll pick up some more and so on. But yeah, I hold more XLM than my XRP currently. Whoever thought that? But I like some of your predictions. How you look at XLM number 3, number 4 BNB. Yeah, you always got to throw BNB in the mix because they're a standout exchange, standout centralized exchange, and everything they got going on and so on. And you said number 5 Bitcoin. Man, you know what? You may nail that. Somebody needs to, let's take a screenshot of that. You may very well be spot on that. But I'm definitely with you on that number 1 and number 2. And like literally I mentioned it right before you even had that up there. So great minds think alike, as the saying goes. All right. Salamander, the XDC commander, says he agrees. Boomer's flexing his muscle. Yes. Salamander, XRP will settle with SEC and we will move on. XRP will be huge. Yes, that's the way I look at it. But I just wanted to throw out, some of that because if anything, again, think about it, guys. All this that's going on, it just, looking from the sidelines, let's say somebody doesn't even know about XRP or someone, they're not hearing all this stuff that's going on unless they're really researching it, right? They're just on the sidelines. They're all hearing about the other ones that are like trending and so on, not realizing that the sleeping giant, right, hasn't been awakened yet. And I think that's the key takeaway I want to basically get across for everybody. Some of Smiley's getting that YouTube algorithm going. Thank you guys, appreciate that. April Cornwell says, hey, Max. Hey, April. Thank you for joining us tonight. Glad to see you and Mike back watching and so on. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Let us know how Mike's doing. How's he healing up and so on. And if anything, hopefully you guys are enjoying this. What is it, late fall / early? Was it fall getting to winter weather out here in Phoenix? It's pretty nice weather lately, in my opinion. Temperatures, of course, dropped. It's kind of dramatically overnight and so on. And of course, when that happens, especially in the Phoenix area, the big shift of going from warm to cold, a lot of people get sick, and that's of course, I think it happens everywhere. But yes, thank you for the flowers. Good to see you tonight, April. Salamander, he states he needs to buy XLM and Casper. I almost got into Casper last night, but I saw XLM, of course, way below that 10-cent mark. I think it came in at like maybe 9 or 8. And I said to myself, time to double it, time to double my position in XLM. And I felt really good about that personally. I haven't DCA'd into XLM for even before I even knew about ISOs. So I already knew that XLM was great and so on, but of course wasn't turned on with the whole concept of ISOs until Mike Cornwell introduced it to us. And then from there I said to myself, yeah, now's the time to double my position in XLM. And now of course I hold my XLM on 2 different exchanges. The last one about was on KuCoin earlier today, and then of course my other XLM I believe I have staked on crypto.com. It's not for a lot, but I did the full term staking I think for like 3 months, but that's starting to end. So coming up to March and so on, or even maybe towards the end of the month, because I think it's going to expire within the next few days, I might not even stake it because of this whole thing of the ISO 222 compliancy. All right, let's see here. Sorry, Salamander says I need to buy XLM and Casper. Yep. Salamander says he nailed it. Joyce says hello to April. Okay, cool, glad to see you guys welcome each other. Everyone's saying hello to April. Salamander, utility is the future. Absolutely 100% utility use case and so on, and especially hearing all this whole talk about the ones that are backed by, for instance, precious metals and so on. That simply makes sense. We're going to get into why that makes sense here in a little bit. And of course, I outlined that in today's quant video. If you guys happen to have watched that, of course, you guys are welcome each other. How about this, Joyce? How high do you predict XLM will go? I don't think it will go as high as, like, for instance, the likes of XRP and so on. But I think it's one of those ones that's right up there in the mix, if you will. When you hear about, for instance, the likes of XRP, for instance, how about this? I think XDC is the most underrated one, or the most undervalued. Possibly even Casper could be, debated as part of being that mix. I know I'm not in Casper yet, keyword yet. But the thing is, I think if anything, it's going to be higher than the likes of XDC, lower than in price compared to the likes of, for instance, Ripple. And if anything, another key takeaway I want everybody to recognize is you could go back and research it for yourself. And that is, earlier this year, technically speaking, there was never mainstream news and whatnot, the only cryptocurrency that was technically officially recognized, if you will, I wouldn't even call it like endorsed, but it was XLM, right? With the whole thing with the Fed meetings and so on earlier on in the year. There's some C-SPAN coverage. Some people, of course, have clips about it. It was kind of like something that kind of flew under the radar. So my attitude is, if they already have that going on for it and so on, and on top of that being backed by silver, not gold, I have, of course, XLM being ahead as far as market cap and price per coin as well. But as far as the exact amount, I mean, that's really going to be hard for me to state and throw that out there, because I think it's yet to be determined, for instance, to evaluate the true market cap potential of these until we get fully into not just what's going on with ISO 222, but realizing, the cross-border payments and how all this technology is going to play into that. The best is yet to come. But again, I think that's the scale of it, if you will, on my particular breakdown. I do like that question though. Crypto Gosh, shield the generational wealth coins. Yes, that's the whole thing. And my thing is this. I mean, it's like I don't really want to like feel like I'm selling my soul to the devil, if you will, by I'm gonna promote I don't know, this rug pull Inu thing or whatever, and it doesn't have any utility, doesn't have anything. Don't get me wrong, there's some that do well and they have the pumps and dumps and so on, but for me personally, I'm just looking at like the generational wealth. Why I got turned on to crypto originally, because let's face it, just like you and a lot of other people, we originally heard about the stories of Bitcoin and so on. And for me, I ended up missing out on that, just like a lot of people did. Didn't get in before the halving of Bitcoin and whatnot. Didn't wake up a few years later, become a multimillionaire. But I did very, very well with 3 particular cryptos in 2021, aka the altcoins. And again, if you're going to stick with the meme token coins, I don't think it's a bad idea with the originals. Like I would refer to as like the Coke and Pepsi of your meme coins, your Dogecoin. The Pepsi would be obviously Shiba Inu, those type of ones. But the other ones that are like these off-kiltered, extremely low market cap. The dev team is not doxxed. They don't show their faces. They never will. Flash in the pan. Let's just go on Fiverr and have a 3-year-old look like they put the website together and so on. I'm not about that personally. But again, some of you guys do very well with that. And there's no, again, so I guess you could say it's like where we agree to disagree. For me personally, I would not put more than $100 into any of those personally. My days of throwing. How about this? Clifford Inu. I put in. I think it was like close. It was either 1,400 or up to 2,000 because I got to keep in mind the gas fees, right? So I got into that. It was either like I don't know 1,500 to 2,000 into Clifford Inu. Shame on you, Maximus, right? Yeah, I'm done with that. You know what I mean? So if anything, if I'm on a dollar cost average into a meme token, it's going to be Shiba Inu. Why? Because for me, I already saw the benefits of Shiba Inu. I already saw the vision and everything they're going to, bring to the table with Shibarium and so on and so forth. How they got plans to build that ecosystem, make that AAA games. Heck, the guy teamed up with the likes of Activision and so on. So I already saw that a long time ago. And that was my standout player, 8K. You guys know the story, 8K into 88K. I will always believe in those particular ones because I've seen how it's affected me personally, affected my family personally, right? Was able to benefit from that. But these other ones that are just knockoffs, I'm done with that. All right. So Salamander, XRP, XLM, XDC, the X-Men. I like that. The X-Men. Never thought about that before. Cool. I'll state this. My all-time favorite superhero movie ever is X-Men Days of Futures Past. That was just so well done. I don't think anything will top that. I know. I mean, I'm a big fan of course, for instance, was it Nolan's Batman, that Batman trilogy, Christian Bale and so on. I thought that was brilliant, but I like that saying, those particular 3, the X-Men. Pretty cool. So they call it the Triple X's, just call it the X-Men. All right, Tim Shea, DAG, and ALB2 tons upside. Yeah, I saw you post that on a few of the quant vids. I probably should try to take a jump right into that with doing some ALBT coverage on recorded and see how that turns out and so on. But as of lately, the ones that really been doing well for us is XDC, quant especially. We're developing a base. And if anything, that's my thing. Like we need here at CTN. Yeah, we have live shows, but if we're really going to stand out, we got to have the recorded to go with that. You guys seen other ones out there. For instance, again, shout out to 2-Bit, right? And don't get me wrong, he was doing well before, but when he caught fire with Luna Classic, he never looked back, right? He built that up. Then he started nailing daily recorded. And then of course daily live shows. What does he do with 9 p.m.? I think it's 9. It comes out to be like 9 o'clock his time, right? in the UK and so on. And he just, man, I mean, great success. Nothing but love and shout out to him. He's been killing it with his coverage. That's my thing I shared with the team and so on, especially with Larry and so on. And that is, let's have us stand out as being the ISO 222, build our base with that and so on. Of course, we always want to, stick to the theme, crypto talk now and so on, talk about various crypto news and whatnot, especially what's trending and whatnot. But I mean, it's not just Luna Classic for us. Like those, we're really starting to get momentum with the likes of, like, for instance, Quant, XDC and whatnot. And I even need to like go back and do some more coverage on ETC, which is the Ethereum Classic. All right, here's this guy. Hello, XXI Gaming. Good to see you, my friend. He says, what are my thoughts on CPI number 4 tomorrow morning? You think they will come in hot or cold? And how do you think the crypto market will respond? Oh, man. So that is a very good question. I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm not going to be able to realistically answer that. Here's why I don't want to realistically answer that. The reason why, and I'm going to go ahead and start that so I don't lose my place, is because this. So we had coverage recently about what's going on with, for instance, these shifts and these cycles with the overall market and so on. And I heard a couple people, and they're just kind of joking with me. They send me DMs. They're like, "Hey Max, you guys thought we're going to go into the bull run. Look at this crash." And I literally said to them, "You guys got to also remember, in our coverage when we did the whole special, we mentioned about a thing of you'll see a crash, a pullback, and then from there we have blast off." Now, how long will this take to get to just that, the blast off? Is it going to be weeks on end? Is it going to be a few more months and so on? I believe it would be anywhere between the two, right? But I firmly believe that getting into 2023, there's enough indicators to show it's just that. And it's not me just saying, "Oh, here's my prediction because it sounds good." It's not like that at all. I'm going based on data. I'm going based on, when in doubt, zoom out on the graphs and so on. I'm going based on things that Legrand pointed out, right? The 4-year cycles. I'm also basing it on some of the things that Luke Lango of Investor Place basically covered. And again, that is just that these particular cycles. Again, even Kevin O'Leary pointed some of these things out. So whether it's crypto, whether it's recognizing what's going on with inflation, some of what's going on with regulatory and so on, right? Everything with the Fed and whatnot. It's a combination of all these things. But again, if you look more into it, it's literally these 4-year cycles. I feel as though we are towards the very end of this quote unquote crypto winter. And if anything, this new 4-year cycle, I should say 4-year cycle, this particular 4-year cycle is ending, and we'll be getting into the bull run. I want to just state that with no evidence to back that up. Again, if you haven't seen our coverage on the special that we did last weekend, you can watch some of the recorded if you like. And on top of that, we do cover this in some of the recent recorded videos. But thank you for that, XXI. As far as how the market will respond, I will state this, and we're going to get a little bit more into this. And I'll just go ahead and restate it again, because I realize sometimes people come in and out. So on today's quant coverage, I basically outlined 2 key things that I want people to really understand, and some of you guys already get it. And that is this. So when we talk about the 4-year shifts, there's a lot more to it than just that. Think about, the money cycle, like fiat and so on, right? So, man, 51 years ago, 1971, Nixon took, or I should say he took, but he came out with that announcement stating that the United States was going to get off of the gold standard. And whether people want to agree with it or not, we basically had to, because as the saying goes, more was going out than what was coming in. People, if the money was backed by gold and our reserves are being depleted, that's a problem. It needed to be stopped. And then if anything, it created a new mechanism of just printing more and more money. And as the time went on, we got, of course, further and further in debt. You guys have basically seen that where, what was it, like 22 plus trillion, maybe even higher with this overall, debt. So my point is this. You heard this expression time and time again that Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. In reality, when we look more further into it, it is not a hedge against inflation. If anything, it was supposed to be designed as a hedge against money printing. So when you see the likes of Ripple's XRP being backed by what? A certain precious metal, as in what? Gold. It kind of gives pause to make you think, this is all starting to come full circle. This is starting to make sense. If the likes of Bitcoin, or let's face it, overall crypto is supposed to be the hedge against inflation, and now you're seeing certain digitalized assets, they're being backed by the likes of, like XRP with gold, XLM, silver, right? Some of these other ones, they're part of like the ISOs, right? Backed by copper. You get the gist of it. That in itself is very, very powerful, because if anything, when regular fiat currency is just spitting out and printing the money like crazy, the digital assets, as in, for instance, all these ones that we're mentioning, are backed by a physical precious metal. I think it's amazing where we see where everything is going. So I appreciate the question. Thank you for the XXI. And let's see here. You guys are welcome, XXI. Thank you for that. Salamander is getting hot. I don't know. I don't really quite get that. But anyway, that's cool. XXI, what's good, Tim and Boomer effing sooner? Larry states XRP wins over the SEC in January. You might be spot on that. And who would have ever thought? How about this? Larry came closer than all of us when it comes to some of this stuff with the is all going to crash and so on. Ride with it, my friend. Might as well. All right, Cool Cat Crypto. ETH would be like a stale beer from 2 nights ago. Yeah, disgusting. How about like the guy shows up with a whole 24 pack of was it Milwaukee's Best? That skunk beer. Oh God, it's horrible. Watered down skunk beer. No thanks, right? All right, Boomer F and Sooner. I put my quarters and dimes into Tectonic. Cool. Tectonic was very tempting to get into, especially with the recent crashes. That might be another one that I finally make a position with. I mean, of course, with another one of the rivals. Is it really a rival? VVS. I got into that a while back, but I definitely think that Tectonic, if I had to pick one out of the two and do it all over again, I would definitely go the Tectonic route compared to VVS. That's just me. That's not me fudding my VVS. I just think Tectonic is the bigger and better play as far as the crypto.com DeFi app, the ones that are part of that selection. I know there's other ones, like was it Meek Meerkat? I can't remember the name of it. That one, I gotta look more into that particular one to see how they're doing as well. But Tectonic definitely, I think, takes the cake as far as being, part of the whole CRO blockchain, ones that are available on that particular app. All right, XXI Gaming is saying hello to you, Boomer. How about this one? Larry, XRP is going back up. Was at 33 cents back to 35 until they have another massive crash, right? Boomer F and Sooner. 1971, the year of the boomer. Okay, interesting. Well, you're about 10 years older than me then. Well, right on. Salamander, Nixon took us off the gold standard in 71. OU versus Nebraska in the game of the century in 1971. Oh, okay. Yeah, you did take us off in 1971. That's why I wanted to basically reference it. But he addressed the nation about us being basically going away from that gold standard. Thanks for the moderator states. Awesome. Lol. All right, hold on a second. Boomer F and Sooner. All right, how about this one? For the younger folks, quarters and dimes is what we got back when paying with paper money. Yeah. Salamander, the XTC Commander, XRP could be at 50 cents by tomorrow. That's very well true. It could be. But I don't quite see that happening. But you never know. Stranger things happen. How about this? Craig Connor, the U.S. Coinage Act of 1729 gave us our money. Paragraph 19 says, anyone who debases or devalues this currency in any way shall be deemed guilty of a felony and shall suffer death. Yeah, well, how about this one? I get where you're coming from, though. Hold on a second. I see people who have done all sorts of crazy things with the $20 bill, for instance. Show you guys something. You guys probably already seen some of these ones, but I don't know, man. There's just so many different ones. So I think I'll pull up this one. They've done crazy things. All right, so I'm gonna share this. This is kind of somewhat interesting. And thank you everybody who's basically recently joined us here tonight. So draw your attention to the right side. I mean, come on, man. Andrew Jackson is Rambo. Whoever got caught doing that, you're gonna face death. I mean, really? How about this? Lincoln, Bill Murray, right? There's some other ones. The Joker. Oh, I'm so offended. How dare you, deface Alexander Hamilton with the Joker, or better yet, Benjamin Franklin as the Joker, or better yet, put Snoop Dogg, with the Titanic in the background. Don't defame the money of Canada, but with Spock on it, right? Anyway, but I hear what you're saying. That's not me mocking you. Some of those things are written. It's like, it doesn't. I don't know. I'm kind of getting off kilter, but how about this? Wrapped Luna, right? Anybody want to talk about that? I know Mike Cornwall does. Coinbase needs to address that because you know what? That darn contract about it, right? Why is that continually flying under the radar, right? We're all talking about the whole thing of, Coinbase, for instance, so much pressure on them to list Luna Classic and whatnot. Are they ever going to address the whole thing of what happened with Wrapped Luna? Needs to be addressed. If anything, somebody needs to recognize that particular contract and say, look, it literally says right here, what you guys have done, you were not supposed to do that. Crickets. Nobody wants to address it. Nobody wants to hear it. Let's just sweep that one under the rug. All right. Let me see where we were last at. Hold on. So that was a great point. Thank you for pointing that out. I love referencing history, especially since I teach it. Salamander, I'm more of a Modelo beer. Okay. Anyone who debases. Yep. Oops, 1792. It's okay. XXI Gaming, hell no. Shaking my head. All right. I got some more great coverage for you guys and so on. I know that we're approaching the 2-hour mark and so on, but you know what? Really appreciate those who are here with us tonight. This morning, I was going to take Mr. No Face's advice, but I saw your tweet, and I was going to do like an emergency broadcast, if you will, about what was happening with the overall market and so on. But at the same time, I also had to recognize, I said to myself, yeah, I want to do that, but maybe I should obsess over the market a little bit because there's a lot of things that I've been wanting to get into for a while, and now's the time to get into it. So I said, you know what? It's time to, pump the brakes, pause for a moment, and instead of being Max the broadcaster, go back to Max the investor and basically, DCA into some of these and so on. I was glad I did that and whatnot. But anyway, Craig Connor, no, it is what Roosevelt did in 1938 or so, then exactly what Nixon did in August of 1971. You know your history. You definitely know your history. I'm glad you pointed out what happened back in 1938 as well. Vincent Channel says, thanks. All right. Going to go ahead and get into some more of this coverage. So here it is. Here we go. It's straight from the Wall Street Journal. Okay. So basically, a little bit more in regards to some of the doom and gloom. Let's face it. So the SEC and the Department of Justice are investigating crypto platform FTX. We've heard so much in regards to what's going on with FTX, Binance, heck, even with Solana, right? But it says the probe is focusing on potential security law violations by the U.S. affiliate. A little bit more in regards to this. The SEC and, of course, the DOJ are investigating FTX, stating that its sudden implosion this week, a person familiar with the matter said. The staff at the two law enforcement agencies were in close contact Wednesday, basically stating that the DOJ is going to, quote unquote, prosecute criminal violations such as fraud, while the SEC enforces civil investor protection laws. Oh no, not the SEC. Let's pick and choose our poison with them. Spokesperson for the DOJ and SEC declined to comment. Isn't that convenient? FTX didn't respond to requests, of course, for comment. In regards to this whole thing with the investigation, there's been this whole thing in which it says that they focus on the company's U.S. subsidiary, FTX.US, which lists dozens of crypto tokens. And that's the main key takeaway I want people to understand here. It's not so much just a regular FTX, right? Just like it's not so much a regular, for instance, Binance. We do have FTX US, we have Binance US. So I just want to throw that out. This is more focused on the US side of, for instance, FTX. The agency officials believe that some of these assets, as well as FTX lending product, might constitute securities that under US law should have been, of course, registered with the SEC before being sold to investors, the person said. If that is the case, then the company's handling of customer assets might also violate laws governing US exchanges. And there's just that. The whole can of worms gets unleashed. Pandora's box has literally exploded within the last couple of days. Wanted to point that out to you guys. On top of that, there's a little bit more. So for all those who heard the stories about, this is a done deal, and where do we go from this? This is not a done deal. Binance walks away from the deal to rescue FTX. Crypto exchange decision leaves FTX with uncertain future as it faces, of course, this multi-billion-dollar shortfall. And of course, there's a particular video in which Sam Bankman-Fried in talks to raise more funding. I did review it. I just felt as though it wasn't really, I don't know, maybe you guys saw a brief thing on it. It wasn't that well put together as far as where it came from, the Wall Street Journal. But look at this. It says crypto exchange Binance reverse course, if you haven't heard about it already, on a rescue offer for FTX Wednesday, leaving the proponent digital firm with an uncertain future as it faces a shortfall of up to $8 billion, according to people familiar with the matter. For instance, listen to this quote. In the beginning, our hope, of course, this was from, let's see here, Binance. It says, in the beginning, our hope was to be able to support FTX's customers to provide liquidity, but the issues are beyond our control or ability to help, Binance said in the statement. My thing here is a key takeaway. It's Binance. And if anything, when you think of the likes of CZ, look back, with what happened, for instance, with Luna Classic, everybody was hoping that, hey, Binance, CZ, and so on, they're going to be all for on, off-chain and on-chain burns and so on, and it didn't happen. It ended up being, partially what we're looking for. At the end of the day, the likes of CZ and Binance, they're not looking to necessarily be crypto heroes, right? Even though this sounds cool. If anything, they're just that. They're a business, and they're going to do what's best in the interest of, for instance, their business, which is Binance. So when I saw that they were coming in, I said to myself, oh boy, everybody is expecting that this is going to be this huge monumental thing. And if anything, like there'll be quote unquote crypto heroes. I just don't think that's the case. They also got to look at it from like that particular perspective that you see in this quote. And it's just that it was issues beyond their control and ability to actually help at that time. It is this whole thing unraveling with everything you see here. It's just nuts. So I wanted to point some of these things out. Of course, you can read more into the full article of the nitty gritty and all the technicalities about it straight from the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to take a moment to kick it back into the comments just briefly. And then after that, we're going to get to some of these other ones in regards to the XDC news and coverage. So, for instance, we have a boomer effing sooner because it just sounds better that way. Yuengling beer coming to Oklahoma in January. Huh. Have you had it? Does it taste good? Or is it too bitter? Or has it got kind of a little bit of that rice taste mixed into it? All right, Salamander. The Supreme Court has recognized Congress's coinage power to be exclusive too. All right, thank you for pointing that out. So Supreme Court has also construed Congress' power to coin money and regulate the value thereof to authorize Congress to regulate every phase of the currency. All right. Not the Federal Reserve. Okay, fair enough. The Federal Reserve is not a government entity. You do know, as long as folks dollar cost average, it will prolong hitting the bottom, right? Well, yeah, but my thing is, I also look at, like, I don't know. I mean, some of these ones, yeah, on these particular coins and tokens, there is these big shifts, right? Where it was like ones are, I don't know, let's face it, listed at, I'm just gonna throw out an example, like, was it such and such projects like 43 cents or so and so on, and then it moves down significantly, like by 10 cents. Don't get me wrong, that's huge. But for some of the other ones I got into, where I literally see it, like, for instance, hovering around, like, for instance, I got into the graph. That was the other one I forgot to mention, you guys. I got into the graph today. So on that one, everything else is a huge shift, and that one is like they kind of held their resistance line for the most part. And it was just fractions of a penny, like literally, I don't know, 0.09, and then it went to, like, 8. That is not that much of a huge difference where I'm gonna be like, I'm obsessing even that much more to get it to go to another couple pennies, if you will. But I do get where you're coming from. Craig Connor, Sam is a psycho. It seems that way. And if anything, that whole back and forth of all the arguing and so on, man, what a crazy amount of drama. Sam Bankman-Fried and the whole thing with CZ, that was nuts. It kind of felt like watching one of those bimbo shows. I mean, not calling CZ a bimbo or anything, but like one of those reality TV shows, let's face it, on like Bravo or E or something like that. It was just like, what is this? All right. Binance is consolidating the exchange market, a monopoly. Does seem to be the case, don't it? All right, Sam Bankman-Fried is probably in a corner crying safe room. I saw a meme about that earlier today. It's kind of funny you mentioned that. Kind of messed up, but is it warranted? May very well be. All right, Coochie Boy, this is the reason why FTT hasn't went to zero yet. In my opinion, DCAing into depreciating assets. Good point. And we saw that, of course, a while back with some of these other ones, right? Like VGX and whatnot. I know a lot of you guys got into that. I don't even know if he's watching right now. Todd, aka Common Sense. No, not Rich, our Common Sense. He got, of course, into VGX and so on. I don't know if he ever got out, but who else got into VGX a while back? Like Dirt Sheep, even low, I think maybe even twice as low as compared to me, maybe around 15, 16 cents. I think it was maybe was it Iron Lux Trader, if I'm not mistaken, maybe. But I came in at 40 cents, wrote it up to $1.04, and I got out, and I'm glad I did at that time. I didn't want to, just keep holding it and so on. I'm probably going to get back into it later today, just because I like to have, at those prices. I thought, you know what, with everything in line with what's happening, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a big announcement about VGX as well here soon. I got that feeling that is inevitable sooner than we think. All right, Cool Cat Crypto. Federal Reserve is a private corporation of unelected bureaucrats. All right, Craig Connor. I stopped trusting CZ when he did not support the 1.2% tax. Good point. He did good. He did good every Monday with the burns. Then the 0.2% tax by the Luna Classic people is the death nail for a few years of Luna Classic. We'll get to 5 zeros. Ooh, boy. All right, appreciate your intel on that. Joyce says, catch you all later. Good night. Thank you for showing up, Joyce. Have a good night as well. Coochie Boy agrees. Some tokens are worth the risk of dollar cost averaging if you already hold a larger portion at a higher price. Good point. Some of you, I think, who's with you on that particular statement, who outlined it, especially with me, is, for instance, the likes of, Edward Vincent. He pointed that out. All right. Javier, good to see you. Sorry about the whole thing that happened recently. My father ended up getting, was in the hospital and so on. And if anything, I hope that you're doing well, my friend, and so on. Hopefully, the school gave you heads up on the situation. And I'm still kind of going through it right now as we speak. We had, of course, a death in our family and whatnot. But thank you so much for stopping by. I do miss being able to be down there with you guys. Salamander has the emojis out. And let's see here. You have, for instance, the smileys. It says, bye, Joyce. Salamander, sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's, I don't know. It's one of those things and so on. And yeah, it's hard to get it really, I should say into that at the moment. But thank you for stopping by, Javier. And I do miss you guys and so on. I'm going to go ahead and kick it into this next part real quick. And it's basically a little bit more of the coverage. So it's in regards to XDC. Okay. And we're, of course, more than glad to be able to cover some of this here at CTN in regards to just that with XDC. So as you guys know, Samuel is the XDC commander. Again, congratulations to you on your 900,000 XDC. That's just massive. But listen to this. This is fresh, hot off the presses, I should say, earlier today. About roughly 9:06 a.m. my time, which is Mountain Time. Get ready, XDC, the only regulated coin. And look at this. So it says Zenfin's XDC network, the first blockchain company to join the global TFD initiative. And then on top of that, look at how this is basically broke down with R3 Corda, right? So for instance, at the top part, you see the whole thing with the R3 Corda bridge. You have XDC, definitely part of that. Impel's ISO 222 financial messaging standard platform. And how it goes down to, it says XDC Corda on DLT, optional instant settlement mechanism on Corda. And it just, look at the cycle on how all this is set up. So there, from there, look at all these different symbols in whether it's central banks, the supply chain, right? All of this, right? And then how that breaks down, going down to the DTCC. Then it goes on to mention enables DTCC and Swift with ISO 222 standards on Corda, accelerated instant settlement possibility. And then from there, it connects to the SBI holdings, then SBI Ripple Asia. We're always talking about for what's going to happen with the central banks of Europe and so on. But look at this, for instance. This is where we're talking about, for instance, Asia Pacific regions, right, and so on. So again, with Ripple, XRP, and then also, of course, the whole thing with CBDCs, whether you're for that or not, it's beside the point. The thing is the technology that's, you literally see it right here. A little bit more in regards to that. Impel runs on XDC Net. You see how that connects. Then from there, the XDC network connects the hybrid blockchain. Yeah, I get it. A lot of us are not fans of ERC20 and so on. But that's still very powerful because if anything, it just, you see all the different layers, right? Even with all the crazy stuff happening with Solana, right? You see how that's broken down right there and so on. And I definitely wanted to share that with you guys. I think that, if anything, that is pretty significant because like it mentions right here, forking the Quorum blockchain. So it says the open source Quorum blockchain was developed by, of course, JP Morgan, right? And it is a private / permission blockchain built on what the Ethereum network. But listen to this. Zenfin's XDC blockchain, of course, is a fork from Quorum. We'll talk about, like it mentioned, it says XDC later. We're talking about right now, but it says, but for now, just know that they made some significant changes to the Quorum protocol. One of them is that they replaced, listen to this, proof of work consensus mechanism with proof of stake. So I just wanted to, of course, share that XDC info with you guys, news, etc. How about this one? This particular one basically states I know some of you guys are into GBEX. I think it's Cool Cat Crypto, Metalect, and so on. This is really big for XDC. So it says another new XDC pool with a low GBEX. Says requirement has just been launched. Now you can stake XDC at 4.2% with only 750 million GBEX required. Like, that's not even that much, right? Especially if you look at the price per GBEX. So it states staking XDC has never been so easy. Come stake with Globiance. I, of course, when I look more into GBEX, of course, there's the whole thing, of course, with globiance.com. But I think this is big because if anything, that's not bad as far as staking rewards for XDC. I definitely want to share that with you guys. This was posted, of course, earlier today, and I thought, wow, why not share that? I think we got a little bit more news. Of course, it's in regards to like Luna Classic, which is on the next topic. And then, of course, we'll kick it back into the comments. So, like you see right here, straight from Classic Crypto, he states Luna Classic is rising once again. If you held Luna Classic, you deserve this. We're going to zoom in a little bit more, and you kind of see what happened earlier today. Again, it was nice to see that this happened with Luna Classic because, if anything, it builds more of that confidence where a lot of people were kind of, let's face it, doubting it, saying, is dead and so on. And then just out of nowhere, against the entire market, Luna Classic, for instance, what was it, 7-8 hours ago now? They had that hour time frame and so on where there was that big pump for about 20%, and then for on the day it's about roughly 5 or 6%. I was really, really glad to see that. Shout out to Classic Crypto who posted that. A little bit more in regards to Luna Classic. It says just in now, Whales Club, Luna Classic hit the #1 trending crypto on Gate.io. I pointed out many times, comes to Luna Classic, as long as it's still trending and so on, if anything, it'll create even that much more supply and demand. And you see just that #1 trading on Gate.io. I'm not a big fan of Gate.io because, I'm an American and so on. And, Gate.io is just not exactly too US friendly, right? But to see it trending there, even though, you see some of these figures, you like the idea that it's one of the hot searches. All right. There's a little bit more coverage. We're somewhat getting towards the end of this. And if anything, I want to go ahead and recognize our community, kicking it back into the comments. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that too, man. I really, really am. I really wanted to be able to basically be there for everything, you guys got going on and so on. But they have district policies that prevent that, unfortunately. You could get more details in regards to that from some of the staff. And Cool Cat Crypto, XDC, his GBEX. He loves his GBEX. GBEX is a must hold. Yes. Very good find, Max. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I just thought that you guys would appreciate getting some XDC news and so on. Why XDC so bullish? It's just, oh man, they got so much going on as we speak. I mean, you think about like the ones that are building on, for instance, the XDC blockchain, Zinfin and so on. It's one of those ISOs that is very undervalued. And if anything, in the next bull run and so on, I think it's going to be one of the standout ones in which the market cap is going to explode. If I'm not mistaken, I think we're still in the top 100. Let me just take a moment to see what's going on with that. 86. Okay. So let me go ahead and, by the way, Crypto God, thank you so much for being here. Consider maybe changing your avatar to something about more of who you are and what you're about and so on. And guys, if you haven't welcomed Crypto God, I've seen you here before. By all means, welcome Crypto God. Cool Cat Crypto, being able to stake XDC on GBEX is huge for GBEX, and I think it's huge for both, right? Huge. Yes, absolutely. All right. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some more info that we have and news in regards to some of these hot topics. A little bit more, I think it is, on regards to, Luna Classic. So give me just a moment to share this. And here we go. So like it mentions right here, of course, I'm on we reshare that one, my bad. It's this one right here. This comes from this particular lady, who is at NERGIZY, and then this long number. It says, Luna Classic has now flipped green, up 4.5% of the day. I think it's even a little bit more than that. While the rest of the market is down, like we pointed out, right? Again, like it doesn't seem like much, but again, you're getting community members basically retweeting it, spreading the word. These are good things. This is what I'm talking about. And that is what I would like to see, for instance, even though I don't hold it, I am a fan of recognizing certain communities. I want to see this type of thing happening with what the likes of Elon, as in Doge on Mars. I think if you had a really active community that's consistently doing that, that would definitely help that particular project. But like it shows right here, it is just that. And if anything, I think it's even higher than that. A little bit more in regards to today's news, Luna Classic, and so on. Again, Classic Crypto posted this earlier. It says Luna Classic is nowhere near FTT situation. And I'm glad he stated that, because if anything, we need to kind of eliminate or alleviate some of the fear that's in the market, right? Because people will panic. And you know, the whole thing of putting the likes of Luna in the same category as the likes of FTT or FTX and so on, I think is not quite fair. But let's face it, the average person who is going to mention crypto winter and all the things that happened this year, you're going to say, you know what, two key things, the whole thing with FTX, the whole thing with Luna and so on. And I get it, but I think he spun on the statement. Luna Classic is nowhere near FTT situation. He states Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX basically lied to us, blatant deception, right? Luna Classic fell because of a minting issue, which has been fixed. It's up 1,000% from its lows this year. It has 100s of decentralized apps incoming. It's a great point. If anything, if you look at the process of what was it, roughly about 3 months since the depegging of UST, when we got up to post UST depegging, when Luna was actually referred to as Luna Classic, when we got up to those particular highs in that 3-month range, Luna Classic went up, what was it, something like 25,000% in like 3 months, technically speaking. And that was like even more impressive than in some cases what Shiba Inu did last year in a shorter amount of time. So I like definitely what he pointed out. It has hundreds of decentralized apps incoming, and that's another key thing. Having those projects, I mentioned this before on the show, having those projects build basically on their particular blockchain, I think is so significant to build that ecosystem, and you literally see this coming. This is how I feel as though that Luna Classic is not dead at all. If it was dead, why would anybody even want to bother building upon its blockchain? They wouldn't. And the last, FTT is falling because it failed. It had no purpose. Again, if you don't have no purpose, no solid utility and so on, literally things will fall from underneath you. All right. A little bit more in regards to all this. I'm going to go kick it back in the comments to see how we're doing. We might actually just go ahead and wrap the show here soon, maybe. It says, yes, huge for XDC2. Is XDC deflationary? Well, how about this? Let's get some more comments and so on. What do you guys think? Because you know what? How about this? How about we have this come straight from the XDC commander himself? Not to put you on the spot, but some of you guys can answer this as well. Is XDC deflationary, inflationary? What do you guys have for an answer for him in that regard? And why does it come across like that with the squares? Let me see if it shows that way up on. Oh, okay, because it's kind of like a custom emoji from YouTube. That's kind of funky how it comes up on my screen. See how it does that with the squares? Kind of weird, right? And there is your answer. XDC is deflationary token. What this means is that the total supply of XDC is continuously dropping, enabled by token burns. I want to give Salamander a chance to answer that, because I thought if anybody was to answer that, it would definitely be him. And on top of that, he says token burns means that tokens are of course sent to a wallet address in which they can never be recovered. All right. Let me see here. Okay, that was the early report of the day about Gala. I think it was Boomer asking about that. Well, believe it or not, that actually does cover everything today. thank you so much for being with us here at Crypto Talk Now. We roughly went about 2 hours and 25 minutes, kind of a long show tonight. We're really glad to be able to bring you guys this coverage. Tune in daily, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Sometimes, we have a slight delay depending on like if I have to rush through rush hour traffic and so on and whatnot, or just to bring you guys a little bit more extra coverage depending on what's going on with the market and the hot news and so on. Be on the lookout for extra recorded videos and the likes of Quant, XDC, some of these other ones are ISO 222 compliant and so on. We obviously cover quite a few other things. We also try to cover what's trending when we can. But yes, definitely be on the lookout for that. If you haven't seen today's Quant coverage, you're definitely going to want to do so in regards to some of the Oracle announcements. You'll have a firm, broader understanding on how the overall crypto market cap, even though it seems like it's doom and gloom right now, will achieve some of these crazy market cap levels. So basically look more into that for yourself if you like to. And again, guys, please hit the like button on the way out. And hit that bell notification for you get informed about when, of course, the shows happen, recorded, and so on. Guys, we just increased before we left. Before I leave, I should say, let me just go ahead and show this real quick. We basically went, hold on a second. We went to a higher market cap. Subscriber count. I wish we went to a higher market cap. I want to show you that, guys, this real quick. Just real quick. Before we leave. All right. So this is straight from Crypto Talk Now. And of course, we're not just about YouTube and so on. But we did go up in our stats. We're now at 7,900. Our goal is to get up to the next milestone of 8K. Can't thank you guys enough for sharing CTN with other people, retweeting and so on is definitely helping. I think if anything, keeping up with the whole thing with the recorded videos consistently, the live. I'm gonna eventually get this whole thing sorted out with the charts. But thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and really glad, of course, to be here with you tonight. May you all have a blessed day, everybody. Really, really appreciate you guys. I'm just gonna read some of the last comments, and then we're going to get going and wrap up the show. Let's see here. Yep, you already answered all that. Thanks, Max. Yes, thank you so much. You guys are getting sleepy. Good to see you, XXI. Salamander says be safe. Is there a link to find the deflationary chart? I believe if you go to the Medium for XDC, it shows a lot of that information. Also straight from the site, you can go straight to coinmarketcap.com. Type in XDC, go to their particular site, it has a breakdown, or you can just go to their Medium page. It also breaks it down as well. Salamander, thanks, Max, for all your hard work. Thank you as well for being here. Adios to you, Boomer F and Sooner, and take care to you, Tim Shea, and everybody else who I might have missed. Again, thank you guys so much for being here pretty much daily when it comes to Crypto Talk Now. Have a blessed night, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.